The United States Military Academy. I'm Seth Bolton. I'm here with Noah Kim. I hope you guys turned in at 1300 to the promotion ceremony of Colonel Young. So just to give you guys a little backstory on that, Colonel Charles Young was the first African American to be promoted to the rank of colonel. And so we have recognized him today by the undersecretary to posthumously promote him to brigadier general. But right now we're at the grenade range. Noah, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
So the grenade range has four basic skills: agility, individual movement techniques, the simulation grenade throw, and a level of fitness. And the teams that we have here today, right now, are Penn State, Siena College, South Dakota State University, and James Madison University. There's an interesting collection of teams, all ROTC. So we're going to get to see how they're doing today at the grenade range.
Yeah, and so I mean, if you look behind us, I'm pretty sure you guys can see from this shot. But so we have smoke that's popped right here, and so as the participants are going through, they're first going under concertina wire. Now this is real concertina wire, and so I think this really shows that we train how we fight, right? So as they're moving through, they have to do these individual techniques. They have to throw a grenade at a target within this range, and then after that, they have to maneuver through other obstacles. So I mean, it's great, and it's great to see these ROTC teams out here. Along with task force, I think it's a great training that simulates how we fight.
So this is one of the the first real lanes that we're bringing to you that actually does do tactical battle skills. In that they're learning how to throw a fragmentation grenade, they're learning how to move under contact, they're learning how to move all this kind of stuff during simulating real combat. So I think it's a pretty interesting aspect of Sandhurst, which is testing true military skills in addition to simply just physical and mental agility. And let's talk a little bit how the teams got here to begin with. So if you're an old grad tuning in, you may remember during your time at Sandhurst, it was all 36 company teams from West Point being represented at this academy. But at this moment and at Sandhurst 2022, we only have 10 company teams in addition to the USMA professional teams, gold and black. You want to explain a little bit how we got from 36 companies to 10 companies, Seth?
Yeah, so pretty much what we do in the fall is we have a fall Sandhurst competition. And so this is later on a little bit in the semester. And so teams start training at the very onset of the academic year. And so once they start training, we have a competition very similar to this, and it's just West Point internal. And so as teams go through, we take the top 10 teams. USMA Gold and USMA Black always have a pass to the spring competition, but that way we pick the best cadet teams to go against our fellow competition from the United States, but then also our allied partners.
So what's really interesting about whittling it down to the top 10 teams, it allows us to expand the audience and expand the participation at Sandhurst. It allows us to bring in the 16 international teams that we have here. It allows us to bring in the ROTC, like the 4 teams that you see competing right now. And it allows us to really promote this idea that we're fighting here with our partners and allies across the country and across the world.
I mean, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, but I mean, Sandhurst was started in 1967, right? And it has evolved over the years. And so for those of you old grads that are tuning in, Sandhurst used to be just a one-day event, right? But now we have a 2-day event, and it's spread across West Point proper all the way out to Buckner. Well, they'll try different challenges tomorrow. But I mean, it's really interesting how it's grown and evolved and really become a part of West Point culture, but then also a signature piece of our partnerships with different service academies.
And I think so. The location of this range is also pretty cool. The last time I was down here was when we were doing air assault. So when I was at air assault school, if you could see us, maybe if the camera's at the right time, you can see a tower in the background of where me and Seth are. And that tower is the rappelling tower that we use to go through air assault. I remember, unfortunately, I was one of the few Siena air assault grads, which means that I had to take an extra week because I had to recycle during my sling load phase, which is, if you don't know, it's in the hardest school at West Point, by the way, and in the Army, the 2 weeks at air assault. Seth here went to airborne school, and he has a little bit of a different idea of what it means to be a tough Army school. But I think air assault's 14 days is probably the toughest 14 days in the Army. What do you think?
I mean, that's a pretty interesting perspective coming from a leg. I know all you airborne people out there will appreciate that from me. But yeah, I mean, I think it really just goes to showcase the different opportunities that cadets have to improve their military skills while at West Point, right? So we have we call them MIADs. So we have different MIADs that cadets can do over the summer. We have air assault, airborne, but then we have even more specialized one. I see a cadet out here helping on the lane who goes to advanced schools like Sapper School. We send people to CDQC, which is the combat dive school. And then there's a lot of other opportunities that vary by year, but cadets can really hone in their military military skills, and then take the skills that they learn as cadets into their units, and then just continue to excel once they're there.
I think another huge highlight that we have of really bringing in military training into our school is that we had some cadets on the USMA Black team, Cadet Paul Lubke, especially, and several other, Cadet Frank Latour,
yeah,
who's also on one of the company teams, just competed at Best Sapper competition and are now doing the Sandhurst competition only days after, which really demonstrates how much grit and how much toughness that we have here getting demonstrated here at Sandhurst 2022.
I mean, and I think like that also goes to show how like not only do cadets take those skills that they learn at those advanced schools into the Army, but it also improves the Corps, right? So we have these same individuals that were in these competitions, going to these schools, improving companies. And then we also have a lot of cross-training going on from a lot of the international cadets that come here for semesters and then are embedded within the Corps. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see that aspect and to really see how it is reflected within the training that we do. But I mean, we got some great action going on right now. Right here, we have the Penn State team right next to us, and so I mean, it's just great training out here. The weather has greatly improved from this morning. As you can see, we're not shivering, wearing gloves anymore. So I mean, the sun's come out, so it's definitely a good day for some military training. A little bit of PTO.
There are a few comments made about our last broadcast where I was wearing gloves. I just want to say that if you were out there by the water next to the Zodiac Lane, you would have recognized how cold it was. But right now we're seeing much better weather right now, and that's awesome to see because, as we know, most military trainings, for some reason, there happens to be just terrible weather. But right now we're seeing some great breeze, great sun, and we get to see some grenades being thrown, which I think makes it a wonderful day.
And so, like, I mean, going back to the weather and the training that are going on, this is also the Sandhurst competition is an event during the school year, but it's also very reflective of what cadets do over the summer, right? So all these like IMT, individual movement techniques, grenade throwing, moving under fire, under contact, those are very reflective of the trainings that cadets go through each summer. So starting off with, we have the basic summer course, Beast.
The cadet basic training is a 6-week course in which we take new cadets, we take cadet candidates actually, like civilians, anybody, and we bring them through the military training process, and we turn them into soldiers and turn them into followers before they become leaders later on in their years here. And I remember my cadet basic training; that was no joke.
It's pretty serious, and I think an important part to highlight about that too is that so. At West Point, we have cadets teaching cadets, right? We always have a tasked out like task force that comes to West Point to help support this. I'd like to shout out our task force today. They're coming from JBLM. They're doing great today and really helping out the cadets as we progress through this competition. But then we have cadet trainers training other cadets.
I think something that's not really noticed is the amount of staff that it takes to run an international competition
100%.
like this. We have an entire job set amongst the Corps of Cadets that work exclusively with Sandhurst so that they can get them trained up for the lanes. They can set up everything going to make sure it goes right. They're the ones behind the logistics, they're the ones behind all the planning, and they're all the ones behind like getting all the equipment and everything to set up so that these teams can compete in today's amazing competition. None of this happens just by simply asking for it. It requires a dedicated level of staff to be able to effectively get this done. And we have these amazing cadet groups doing, such as RJ Johnson, who's a cadet who's this OPSAR major for Sandhurst, and Cadet Josh Moore, who's the Sandhurst Brigade Sandhurst officer, doing some great work behind the scenes to get this done.
Like I want to tell you guys, I mean, it takes about a year to plan out these events, right? So it takes a pretty much a full calendar cycle to go through these. And this is not the first time that these events are being run through. So we also have a Sandhurst validation. And so we talked about those cadet companies that do not make the actual spring Sandhurst competition. And so about a month before actual Sandhurst occurs, we'll have 2 teams come and they'll actually walk the lanes to judge the time that it takes to get to the lanes, but then also to complete them. Right. And so while they're also doing that, they're certifying the safety of this lane, of these lanes. And I think that's of the utmost importance to highlight is safety is key here. We're training. And at the end of the day, when we're training, we want to get everybody back home in one piece. And we want the teams to learn something and get something out of this. Right. There can only be one winner. I think who was it? General MacArthur said there's no substitute for victory. But with the training, I hope that every team leaves here learning a bit about themselves, but then also about how everybody operates. And so, I mean, I think it's a good experience for all of us to go through.
And talking about training under fire, we're seeing these nice little smoke grenades being thrown out across the course, which makes it truly, they're trying to simulate as close to a real operational environment as possible. And I think that's pretty cool. They're getting simulation grenades. We do actually have a little bit of explosive material in them. They have, they're moving under like actual, like we talked about before, concertina wire. So there's a real element of like actual Army operational training going on right now at this competition. And I think the highlight here is that there's 4 different ROTC units, and the 4 ROTC units here have been training on their own a little bit without with a wide variety of level of support that they're getting. And I think it's amazing that they're out here giving it their all and really truly showing the competition, like the spirit of competition going on.
Oh, 100%, Noah. And it's really interesting to see as we go through the lanes, like the little different things that are, I would say, unit dependent, and like how these different teams train up for these kind of things, right? I mean, there's multiple ways to go about certain things, and it's really interesting to see how that's highlighted in the execution of these events. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really cool seeing everybody get through this in a fast, speedy manner. And honestly, I'm learning something from looking out here, watching these cadets perform. So, I mean, it's a great day for some West Point training. Honestly, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I mean, and that's bringing us to somewhat of the end of this portion of the live broadcast. And so I hope you guys continue to tune in onto the coverage of USMA Sandhurst 2022. And
we'll see you again at 1500 at Daly Field for the tactical combat care lane that we're going to be at. So I see you again at 1500, and this is Sandhurst 2022. In the event that we're still broadcasting,